Welcome to Coffee and Comics, and I'm with my friend Paolo Cruz, and we're gonna be just geeking out on post-apocalyptic movies. This is a 5 versus 5. He'll name his top 5. I'll name my top 5. So palitan kami. Hey, Paolo.
Hey.
Thanks for doing this, man.
I have a very clear threshold for what I consider post-apocalyptic.
What are the parameters?
One, it obviously there has to have been some kind of apocalyptic event.
Right.
I mean, or if it's not an event, then it's a very specific kind of scarcity,
Right.
where a resource that was once available is now suddenly.
That's right. There should be a
in
catalyst
competition.
to why it became post-apocalyptic. I get it.
I guess it's almost necessarily dystopian, but I guess you could have a utopian apocalypse, but it's certainly much less compelling, or at least more of a challenge to the right conflicts around it.
That is a good idea. When you think about a utopian apocalypse, you think there are movies that look utopian, but it's not. Underlying it all, there is example, The Hunger Games.
Oh yeah,
it looks utopian, but there's
if you're in the capital,
if you're in the capital, there's always. I think there should be a hierarchy system and a clear point of who are on top and who's down below. So movies like that are probably considered post-apocalyptic. So let's go through with it.
Yeah.
All right. You go first. Your top 5, from 5 the lowest, 1 the highest.
Okay. It's weird because my first one is an exercise almost in pure world building because there aren't. Oh well, there are stories around it, but everyone learns about it through the setting books, and that's Warhammer 40K. So right? I mean, because it has a very well-developed lore. They've decided there are scarcities.
Right.
There are resources that are allotted.
Right.
But it's almost all it plays out on the game table largely. I mean, there's lots of decades of media.
Is that your top?
That's my
number
number
5.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do something really famous, and some people might think it's cheesy, but The Walking Dead.
No, absolutely makes sense.
That makes sense. No? The catalyst is there. A zombie apocalypse. But what's unique about The Walking Dead? The comic book. Let's go with the comic book. Robert Kirkman's an awesome writer, one of my favorites. And in the comic book, the word zombie doesn't really exist, right? So they don't know what the zombie is. So they call them walkers, rotters, whatnot. And I think. Sorry for the spoilers, guys. I'm sure everybody knows The Walking Dead. Pero I think Kirkman said in one interview, it's definitely space spores. So space spores caused the zombie uprising, which is weird. I like the reason I picked this, in the comic books, I like the fact that they tried to fix the world and they tried to make it supposedly better than it was before, but they ended up doing the same thing. Politics will be politics. Hierarchies will be hierarchies. The rich will be rich. The poor will be poor. I like that part where they show how human nature is. So I like that. And the ending was a bit of a drag. It's like, what? That's it? He died that way. So I'm not. Should we spoil this? Rick dies. He gets shot. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is
hard. So
actually, I almost debated whether I should put this on because it's such a discrete example and has no other supporting media but Children of Men. Because Children of Men, it was like, this is it. This is potentially the end of the human race. Because for those who aren't familiar with it, it's a movie where women stop giving birth, or humans stop giving birth. And so we're potentially looking down at the end of the human species, but then it's telling a tale of politics and resource division among all of that
with religion
as well. Yes,
so it's a big
and I think that's sort of inevitable.
Children of Men, Paolo, no? Galing nun. And the movie was just it's visceral.
Yeah.
You feel every moment. Because it was a follow cam eh.
Yeah.
It was just follow.
Oh God, yeah. There were really long tracking shots, and where it was a single shot. And I guess it embeds the viewer in the middle of the mess.
It does. You watch the film, guys. If you haven't seen Children of Men, Clive Owen, diba?
Yeah, Clive Owen. Yeah,
check it out. This is a must see, a must see for sci-fi fans, for dystopian fans, for actually just general moviegoers. It's just a good movie. Nga lang, it's depressing.
It absolutely is.
After the movie, you just feel like I gotta watch a Disney film. I gotta watch something fun.
I'd say it's one of my favorite films of all time, but I've only ever watched it twice because just the emotional weight of it is like
it does get to you. It does get to you. No, there are movies that you can't watch twice. And that's one of them. Diba? My God,
I had at least a 10-year gap between viewings.
10 years, huh? My God, yeah, it really gets you, and I think that's the beauty of that movie.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4, and we talked about this a while ago, Blade Runner, and you said that it might not be a dystopian. It might not be post-apocalyptic. You're right.
Well, okay. On the surface, it really does look like. It does look like a lot of the other examples, in the sense that you have the clear stratification and hierarchies. You have the replicants as a clear second class that function the way a lot of the underclasses do in these stories.
And it's kind of an uprising.
Yeah, there's an uprising there as the backdrop to it. Especially for some of the ones who've gone off-world.
Right.
Yeah, there was no inciting event, I guess.
It just happened naturally.
Yeah, it just sort of happened naturally, or as the replicants developed. And
so you can say that it's just para siyang Elseworld.
Yeah.
Right? So it can't be post-apocalyptic, but yeah, it is dystopian.
Yeah.
It's a very bleak future.
Yeah.
But it walang catalyst. So in that case, I have to change that.
I think stick with it.
No, I can change it to Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
That has a catalyst.
Yes.
The virus that turned humans into mindless animals. And I love the fact that it's a take on a big what if. Do you like Planet of the Apes?
I do. Although, and this might be blasphemy for some, I do think that the Tim Burton version was my favorite one. No. It's objectively speaking, it's one of the worst ones. But I do like some of the it explores the species difference among the apes more.
Yeah.
I do like that. And that Helena Bonham Carter absolutely takes seriously a role that would look
right.
Right.
No, I get it. I think Tim Burton had a clear vision of what he wanted.
But it is a break from what the original films are.
Right,
and I can understand why people that have a strong, sentimental or just emotional connection to the first films would regard it as
right. But when you think about
a lesser entry,
that's right. But if you think about a good version of it, I think the prequels that Matt Reeves did was just spot on.
Yeah.
Was just that trilogy is my dare I say, sorry Star Wars fans, dare I say that's the best trilogy for me. Is the last Planet of the Apes. There was a fourth one, which is not part naman of that trilogy. The trilogy tapos na yan eh. That's the Rise, Dawn, and War of the Planet of the Apes. That three movies for me is the best trilogy ever made in the history of film. That's just my opinion, guys. You can burn me in the comments, but I really love it. I love how we see the development of the apes. We see how they banded together. No pun intended, banding of the apes. Anyways, we see how they they rose into power. We see why humans did that to themselves. They shot themselves on the foot. So I just resonates with me, and I think. I think it's just a well made film, and the comic books also, Paolo. You realize that Marvel produced supplementary stories.
I haven't actually read any of those.
It's amazing.
So I mean,
it's amazing. You see other stories in other countries. How other countries happened? Yeah, in France, there's this circus gorilla that took over a city and became a hero. Because he was already smart to begin with. He was a circus gorilla. So that's just amazing. And kudos to everybody who's involved with that film. It's just amazing. And of course, the original property, who was written by no other than Rod Serling.
Oh, damn.
Rod
Serling. I did not know that. No.
Wrote the first Planet of the Apes, 1968. 68 ba? 68. Goddamn to hell! Diba? Si Moses
Dirty
himself.
apes.
Yeah. You got dirty apes. Amazing. All right, your turn.
So, my number 3 is Fallout, both the video game series and the TV adaptation.
That was a fun
and because I'm talking about the world as a whole.
Yeah.
And I'll grant that there are inconsistencies within the games, and then but I think the TV series distills the essence of that world really well, where it feels a little kitschy and schlocky to us as viewers, but it's dead serious to those that are within the world itself and having to deal with.
No, I think it made sense. I think the series was very much aligned with the game.
Yeah.
It has a campy side to it, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And you're right. It feels campy to us, but within the world itself, those characters took it very seriously.
That's life and death. Yeah, it really. And I mean,
but the show is pretty good. Watch it. It's pretty funny, actually.
It is.
I was laughing my ass off when watching it, especially when he got eaten by that animatronic monster. It was like, that's funny. That's funny shit right there.
No, and the visual effects are top notch.
They are.
Like honestly, I don't know the production behind it. How much of that is
CG?
Yeah, CG versus
practicals.
Yeah, practical effects, but.
A lot of them, I think, were practical. The armor, the armor flying, I think that was practical. Though I think that was craning system.
But it gives that used future feel of the game, and it's very true to that.
There's another film that kind of is a bit similar to Fallout, which almost came out at the same time. Silo.
Oh yeah,
remember that film? I remember that series, Silo, with and it has the same concept that they're in bunkers that they have to go out, and it's
actually, I'd read the original book that Silo was based on Wool, or I think it was originally. I think it might have been called Wool, and then was renamed as Silo when the series came out.
All right, my third one is A Boy and His Dog.
Okay.
Remember that film? It's an old film. And I think I remember watching it as a kid on VHS.
Or Beta.
Or Betamax. Tapos, I really liked it because it was a boy and his dog. And I love dogs. After that, I rewatched it again as an adult. And I was like, hell yeah, this is an awesome film. And I feel bad that it didn't really make that much waves, It's very underrated. It's one of those underrated films.
Is it on any of the streaming platforms now?
I think so. I think you can watch it in YouTube for free. Kasi wala nga eh. Wala siyang Wala siyang, I think there's a cult to it. I think there's a cult following, but it's not that big. If you haven't heard of that dystopian film, check it out. I think you can watch it in YouTube. Just type A Boy and His Dog, and it's very heartfelt. It's a post-apocalyptic world about a boy and his dog. What else is there? It's just all heart. I love it. Have you seen the film?
I saw it as a kid, and I don't actually remember feeling any strong way about it. What I do remember, though, is that I remember the vibe of it was similar to how I felt like when I was walking around inside my subdivision during the lockdowns, during the quarantine periods, where it's sort of like life goes on, but life goes on under really weird, regulated circumstances. Right. And I think, I don't know if anyone wants to dredge up those 2020 memories so quickly, but
no, definitely not.
But
it all went crazy.
I do think that it was something that made Boy and His Dog more, and that kind of story more relatable. Right. I mean, I remember some of those Italian mayors saying, "You are not Will Smith and I Am Legend. Do not go around."
That's how they did it. That's how they told people to stay indoors. That's weird. We had a different in the Philippines for foreign audiences. We had a different take on the pandemic. We were late, diba? Our regime was our government was kind of late to respond, and ang gulo. I remember this guy in the news who was arrested in his lawn for stepping out in his lawn in Forbes Park, nonetheless, diba? So parang, hey, what's happening? I was actually afraid for my life. Na parang, is this the end of the world? Is this our dystopian future? And I thought I was living in a dystopian future at that point. And thank God we're not going back to that. Especially face shields.
Oh God,
I hate those. My God. What's number 3?
Fallout was my number 3.
Oh, sorry. What's your number 2 then?
The Stand. Yeah.
Good pick. Virus.
Speaking of the virus, speaking of 2020, and I revisited the original book, The Stand, while on lockdown.
Yeah.
So that's why it sort of refreshed. I mean, it's from 5 years ago and not decades ago.
Right.
And a lot of that holds up just because of that the regulations, the limits we put on each other.
I haven't read the book
as communities. But also, the trust we put in our leaders. That
was that the center of the story?
Yeah,
how people reacted to the virus. Okay. Oh shit.
I mean, there's also lots of epic scale stuff about and it ties in, and also rereading The Stand after having read the Dark Tower books, I realized that so much of the world building setup for the Dark Tower started in The Stand. So he must have been plotting this for decades, or at the very least mining his old work for ideas.
That's right. I mean, Stephen King is arguably one of the best world builders.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how he's able to tie everything together.
Right.
It's with that much, and I don't know how. I don't know if he even sleeps because he writes so fast.
I mean,
he brings out the title every now and then.
He was kind of coked out for decades. So.
Right, diba? When people, I thought he was plagiarizing some other work because it's too fast. Like, you even sleep, right? Amazing. Well, then again, that's Stephen King for you.
Yeah.
Right, a good pick. Stand on it. Right.
I think I saw that as a kid around the same time I watched Red Dawn, and so
the new one or the original?
No, the original one.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I ever saw the remake.
The remake is with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
The original is with Dirty Dancing.
Rob Lowe,
guy. Dirty Dancing guy.
Patrick Swayze, yeah. But I think Rob Lowe was in it as well.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember that.
Yeah, because it focuses on like a barcada of teenagers in the small town when Russians invade, and was in the middle of the Cold War, just for context. So.
I think the remake was if I'm not mistaken, North Korea.
Yeah.
So it's very into the times, I guess. Good pick. My gosh, The Stand. I forgot about that. Okay, my number 2. I'm basing this on the comic book, but there is a series. But I urge you guys not to watch it. It's just crap. Just read the comic book by Jeff Lemire. This is called Sweet Tooth.
Wait, hold on. I'm curious why you didn't like the series, though.
Okay, number 1. Okay, for reference, the Sweet Tooth is about mutations, where animals and humans are having now hybrids. How it came to be, we don't know. It's not plotted out that clear, but it happens. So now there are humans that are half deer, half dog, and half whatever, no? And of course, it's an uprising against those guys of the mutations. Now, what I like about the book, this book actually made me cry, Paolo. It's just so heartfelt. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite writers in comic books, and since Black Hammer, since Sentient, and now, since Sweet Tooth has been there for a while, and the comic book was so gritty. The human hybrids were not pretty. They were not very nice looking, which made humans. You can feel the hatred why humans they're being oppressed by humans, and you know how it is in the human race. If you don't look pretty, the Frankenstein, you'll be attacked. Ganun lang kasimple yun. That's just human nature. What we don't understand that looks like a monster, we deem as such, and we will destroy it. And that's what this comic was about. But the series, you had these cute
kind of
kids.
glamorized.
It's too glamorized. I mean, you can't hate those kids. They're cute. Right? They're like lovable hybrid kids. So I don't know. Because of that, I guess it robbed its intensity.
Okay.
I guess the intensity. The story is pretty much the same.
So the thing is, for me, what I like most about that comic, more than the post-apocalyptic aspects, was like the pseudo father and son bond.
Yes.
Where it feels like if anything, Lemire was trying to channel like Lone Wolf and Cub, or the same dynamic that the creators of the Mandalorian set up in the first season.
Very much.
Where it's
it's a father figure trying to protect his kid.
Yeah.
And the father figure doesn't really want to be a father, but ends up loving the kid despite that.
Yeah.
So it's very Lone Wolf and Cub. I think these stories you've seen before, and it'll all, and I don't think it's gonna stop, and I think that's great because it's when you think about it, Paolo, there's only a few stories in this world. It just keeps on rehashing. It's just different take on it, different versions of it, but it's the same story. So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So and Sweet Tooth is my number 2. What's your number 1?
Okay, my number 1 is Mad Max. It's the setting as a whole,
of
and
course.
because I mean, it's hard to pick favorite. Well, for starters, disclaimer number 1 is I have not yet seen the Furiosa film. I wanted to, but I was just starting a new job when it was out in the cinemas, so
you can watch it online. I think.
Yeah, I know. But like, I want to find it in a place where, like,
of course,
where there's a projector at least, so that I can
That's right.
have that sense of scope. Because that's the one thing that carried it across from Thunderdome through the Fury Road.
What's your favorite film on Mad Max? What's your favorite part? The first one, or
actually Beyond Thunderdome? Actually,
Thunderdome.
Yeah. Well, it was the first one I saw. I mean, I saw it on VHS as a kid, but even if it was just on, a TV scale screen, like I could imagine, I'm like,
the intensity,
yeah, and the epic scale of it, like.
I love that. I'm a big fan of Mad Max. If you didn't pick that, I would have picked that. It's actually part of my honorable mention. I think as kids that resonated to us. It's like, come on, it's a car and a badass driver, diba?
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, even now when you hear the
revving,
turbine,
the revving.
Oh my god! It just pumps. It gives me a.
It's really a visceral thrill. Yeah,
I love it. And come on, Mel Gibson during that time, he was badass, badass. And Beyond Thunderdome was also awesome.
Yeah,
Tina Turner. The first one kasi was so low budget, diba? It was such a low budget film to the point that the director Miller, was using his own cars, using his own van. He was in debt. He was and here's a funny trivia: the guy who created Mad Max, the director C. Miller, also directed Happy Feet. Dystopian and Happy Feet. Amazing, no?
Well, I mean, in some ways, both of them come down to the theme of what's your place in the world.
Right.
Although, I mean, a lot of stories do,
Yes,
but they're especially prominent in both. So, I mean, that's like the clear thread that's running through both, I guess.
That's right. A good pick, man. Mad Max, that definitely is one of the ultimate dystopian stories, dystopian movies is Mad Max. But it was really written for film, diba?
Yeah.
There's no book that's based on it. There's no comic book based on it. So it's really for film.
And I think that's also why it has the sense of scope that it does, because it was, created with the big screen in mind.
Right. Did you like Tom Hardy as Max?
Yeah.
He's okay, no?
Yeah.
I think he'll like Furiosa.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it, but for me, I think it's okay. I see nothing wrong. Anya Taylor-Joy was phenomenal. She's an amazing actress. She's, my God, kahit kalbo siya, she's still pretty. I mean, she shaved the head. Anya Taylor-Joy, hell yeah. Then no problem with that. So yeah. So check it out, guys. Check out any Mad Max for that matter, and Furiosa, Fury Road. Sorry. Just Furiosa, diba? Furiosa lang. Yeah. My number 1, you just mentioned it a while ago. It's The Road.
Yeah.
Another book, and I read the book. The book made me cry also. Cormac McCarthy is one of my favorite writers. Yeah. His heaviest book for me is Blood Meridian. That's just too heavy. That's one book I can't read again. It's just so heavy. Have you heard of Blood Meridian?
Yeah.
It's just too heavy. No Country for Old Men.
Oh God,
that's another one.
I've never read the book. Writer. I mean, obviously, I saw the
movie was awesome. And
it's harrowing.
Harrowing. The Coen brothers did a great job on it. And this one, The Road, is like Sweet Tooth. It's about a father figure. Yeah. He's actually a dad of this kid, and they're just trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. It's just amazing. It's just the journey of survival. And what I like about this film, the film version and the book, there's a big morality debate because the dad had to kill, to survive, and the kid was trying to figure a way to not make his dad kill, and trying to justify everything, trying to put a moral stand on how they're gonna survive, how are they gonna tread in a post-apocalyptic world. So that's something that really got to me.
And I think even aside from the personal connections, what makes the road, a kind of like top tier post-apocalyptic thing, is you also see how much it's influenced other things that came after it. Like I think you see its fingerprints all over, like The Last of Us.
Yeah, it is very much. Great. I think if we continue this, we're going to be talking for hours and hours because it's just too much. And guys, the stuff that we mentioned, if you haven't seen it, watch it. Please recommend more because we love, me and Paolo, we love post-apocalyptic movies. So please recommend books or comic books or whatnot. So thanks for joining us, Paolo. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
This has been fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about something else. What do you recommend? Best animation adaptation from a live series.
That works.
Like the Highlander animation was pretty good, diba? The Terminator adaptation was pretty good too. So yeah, maybe something like that. We'll think of something.
I remember the Animatrix when that first came out.
That was really
that was
good.
like a game changer.
That was so good. That answered a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Blade Runner animation?
No, I haven't.
It's in YouTube. It's supplementary stories through in the Blade Runner world. It's amazing. It's just so good. So much good stuff out there, guys. And hopefully we can catch up, the Philippines. Hopefully we can catch up soon and we make good animation movies and books. It's already existing and we just need to push it forward. Thanks, Paula. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I was going to say that, the creators are there, and it's just sometimes a matter of the resources and the infrastructure to get our work out there.
The marketing,
Yeah.
The exposure.
The distribution.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Paolo. Thanks so much. Let's join us again. Hopefully, Paolo has time to join me again, and we'll do another one.
I'll make time.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.